These badass people show off their badass weapons. Hello, and welcome back to our channel. Today's video is all about these badass people show off their badass weapons. Edged weapons such as knives, swords, and daggers have been used by warriors across the globe for millennia. Military campaigns were changed by razor-sharp blades that inspired fear and fascination. The shiny gladius by Marcus Attilius. Some people enjoy a good scrap. Most guys enjoy getting loaded on the weekend and look for any opportunity to hit on somebody. The spilled drink is just the beginning. There was an error in the translation. He looked bent over. In the case of Marcus Attilius, his love of violence went beyond a drunken coping mechanism. Rather, he enjoyed a good scuffle. Pompeii's ruins contain graffiti listing the names of the gladiators at the time, which includes his name. Gladiators based on the list weren't slaves, except for Marcus Attilius. The gladiator fought for his life. The gladiator was probably a veteran soldier. At least 2 veteran gladiators are shown in his record as having lost to him. Furthermore, we can assume that he had fallen on hard times because he had sacrificed his rights as a citizen to become a gladiator. However, wouldn't it be better to consider that he just wanted to fight? It's possible he missed the excitement and bloodshed. Regardless of his motivation, Marcus Attilius chose to confront the most deadly environment ever created. It worked. It has often been suggested that one should not bring a knife to a gunfight. Bringing an even more advanced weapon may be necessary if Jerry Miculek is involved. What about pulse weapons? Good shots can achieve a grouping between the size of a playing card and a revolver downrange. It takes Jerry only 0.57 seconds to do it. A very proficient gunsmith and handyman, he is able to design and maintain guns as well as fire them more quickly than any man alive. A sniper during wartime with 200 kills is no mean feat. Billy Singh achieved this feat with a simple Lee Enfield rifle during the brutal trench warfare of World War I, which makes it all the more noteworthy. A legendary battle at Gallipoli with Abdul the Terrible was perhaps his most amazing achievement. Among Abdul's many titles was Mother of Death, the gun he used to shoot. As they engaged in sniper versus sniper combat, it seemed as though Abdul would win. Abdul had stalked Singh and had located his exact position so that he could prepare to take him out. However, Singh was faster. A hunter's instinct helped Singh pinpoint Abdul's location before he fired a shot, and he won this legendary fight. Singh's life after the war was not the type you would expect for a returning war hero. As an unknown man living in poverty, he lived out his remaining days in a Brisbane boarding house. In 1943, Singh died, and his unmarked grave was later discovered by Brian Tate. A marker was erected in his honor. A homemade weapons arsenal by Georg Sprave is only surpassed by his insanely infectious, deep, and booming laugh. The sound of him is like that of a drunken medieval king after a hunt for boars. PVC pipe recurve bows were probably used to conduct the hunt. The YouTuber Sprave shows off his slingshot tinkerings, which have some serious destructive power. The bowling ball firing slingshot is one of the more entertaining inventions. Additionally, Sprave invented an add-on to your bow that auto-loads arrows, the Instant Legolas, now called the Fenris Rapid Fire Bow Magazine. It's basically a bow and arrow machine gun that he invented. Awful, horrible. Continuing the theme of ocean-dwelling giants, whaling was once a cornerstone of the economy of New England during the 19th century. In all parts of the world, the fat from these giant animals was rendered into fuel for lamps. It was extremely difficult to obtain the commodity because demand was so high. In the late 19th century, whalers used ordinary harpoons, such as the type you throw and hope it works, before the invention of the harpoon gun depicted above. As one traditionalist whaler put it, a whaler is not likely to shoot a whale like a sportsman would target trout. Trout are powerful little creatures, it is true. Whales, on the other hand, are different animals. The task of bagging enough whales to light up the entire planet must have been rather challenging, even with this handy invention. Well done. In Darren Frost Fights Terrorist, a story of an immensely brave Englishman battles with a murderous terrorist using a piece of a dead animal. Quite a feat. Darren Frost, 38, originally from South Africa, confronted Usman Khan, a terrorist armed with 2 knives, as he rampaged across London Bridge. With what weapon did Frost confront Khan? Gnarled tusks. In Fishmonger's Hall, Frost and his colleagues were attending a meeting when they came across the decorative antique. Despite trying to disarm the knife-wielding aggressor, he managed to pin him to the ground. A jar of instant coffee for Jason. Many of us does not know what we would do without our morning jar. We've all seen movies about Charles Bronson, but don't we all feel like we are the real character when we hold a jar of coffee granules? Jason, 48, the owner of a Mercedes from Victoria, Australia, was preparing to fill up his gas tank at a petrol station in Frankston, an outer suburb of Melbourne. Jason was confronted by a man in his 20s carrying a gun before he could decide whether to buy a meat pie or Tim Tams. A would-be carjacker demanded the keys to Jason's stylish vehicle, but Jason didn't budge. Jason said, "Most people should hand over their keys, but I'm totally different." When his coffee jar fell face down to the ground, Jason fought off his assailant with the shard from the broken jar. The gun was fake, which was fortunate for Jason. In contrast, the carjacker was unfortunate to find the real glass, the kind with real sharp edges. He eventually fled with Jason's cigarettes after stealing the car. For Lars Anderson to be able to do some of his amazing feats with a bow and arrow, he must be half wood elf. You can always appreciate people who are doing something cool. The feats Anderson accomplished with a bow and arrow make us wonder why we became so reliant on firearms, until you remember Tony Stein's Stinger. A gifted painter as well, Anderson. A fellow Dane and artist Otto Frederlund taught him while he attended art school. Are there any implications here? The author doesn't really need to cover it, but it would help if he did so in order to protect himself. An 11-year-old boy and his machete. This is a very tough kid who kept his wits about him, remarked Orange County Sheriff Charles Blackwood. He was speaking about an 11-year-old boy who used a machete to repel a violent burglar. Jathaven Dashnam Hall. The 19-year-old burglar wielding a pellet gun he had taken while ransacking the house had just forced the boy into a closet at gunpoint. Children follow adults' instructions. Then they cry, they urinate. That kid is different. It was as if he grabbed a machete from the closet. Then he ran downstairs and saw his tormentor greedily stealing electronic goods, such as a TV and a PlayStation. With his big knife, he cracked the burglar over the head and caught him in the stomach. After another attempt to lick the boy, he missed and got a roundhouse to the head instead. When the burglar realized he was bleeding profusely, he screamed for help. 2 of his accomplices fled with him, dropping the merchandise he was planning on stealing. The Stinger was Tony Stein, and he was basically a transformer of his era. When he went into battle, he transformed into a land-based fighter jet and shot down enemies in droves, similar to a bunch of Messerschmitts. Only human soldiers take human casualties more easily. As a weapon against the Japanese, Tony Stein possessed a modified M19 machine gun. Fighter planes were equipped with this weapon, which could fire 1,350 rounds per minute instead of 400. Mel Grevich loved it. It wasn't his thing. Using scrap plane guns, a box magazine, and the butt of an M1 Garand rifle, he invented the Stinger. Before the Battle of Iwo Jima, Tony Stein received one of these modified monster weapons. A minimum of 20 enemy combatants was killed during the battle. For his frequent ammunition runs, he did not wear boots or a helmet so he could be as quick as possible. So with that, we have come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. What do you think about these badass people show off their badass weapons? Let us know your views in the comment section below. Until the next video, stay tuned and subscribe to our channel for more uploads like this. Also, if you are not subscribed yet, then do it now. Otherwise, you will miss out. See you soon. Bye.